Luna Matatas is a sex and pleasure educator with over 20 years of experience teaching sex and empowerment workshops. She celebrates body confidence, self adoration, and building shame free pleasure in and out of the bedroom. She teaches 30 plus sexy skills topics, including threesomes, BDSM, and sexual confidence. She created, honey, let me tell you again, she created Peg the Patriarchy and meditate, medicate, masturbate brands as part of her sex positive and feminist merchandise. Ladies, gentlemen, them, theys, yems, y'alls. We got Luna. Y'all heard it. You already know who we're talking to. And we all know one of my favorite questions is the first question, which also gives people a little bit of anxiety, which might be a little kink because I would like, look at them squirm. Anyway, who are you?
I like that you have a squirm for your kink. This is something I didn't know
I'm
about
finding
you.
out.
So yeah.
I'm learning.
So I'm Luna Matatas. I'm a sex and pleasure educator, and I'm also a butler to my cat Bubba. And I get to work with people in groups, on campuses, in different organizations, talking about all kinds of things, including stuff like erotic communication, erotic confidence, erotic creativity, and I teach online and offline.
The intranets. What a weird fucking place.
So weird.
Um, how do we meet?
You know what? I was trying to think about it, and I feel like we knew each other virtually for a long time before we ever met in person. So I don't even remember. You know what? It was through Lola. It was through Dirty Lola. I
That
think like
bitch.
Dirty Lola kept talking about it, and then we all had this love of like charcuterie
Charcuterie.
boards. Yes,
My
that
goddamn,
was our love
love a
bond.
snack.
Yeah,
Mm, love a snack. That makes sense, actually.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's so funny. I'm like, yeah. Um, what does trauma mean to you?
Ooh, so a trauma is an experience that's either super distressing or harmful to our emotional, spiritual, or physical self. And so it definitely changes us. It has this impact on our ability to feel safe and in control of our emotional, physical, and spiritual self.
Yeah, yeah. I love that question because everyone's answer is so different depending on who
Hmm.
they are and their experiences. And today we're talking about belly trauma, which, that's something anyone that has a belly, its stomach, has existed with. But my question for you is, when did you first notice your body? Like, was it something you actually noticed? Because I know for myself, I didn't notice that I had larger breasts before my reduction until someone else pointed it out to me. So when did you first notice your body?
I love this question because I can tell you exactly what I was wearing, what the moment was. I was 9 and I was
Okay.
wearing like a this yellow, banana yellow matching jumpsuit of the 80s. And I had a very long braid and a pink headband. And I was actually at a family gathering. So it was my extended family that I don't see that often, and then my parents. And I remember going to the bathroom and everything was fun and happy. And I came out of the bathroom and overheard a conversation where my grandma
Mm,
was asking my parents if like they were going to do something about my weight because my belly was big. And
mm,
I was listening to this happening, and my parents said, "Oh, she's just chubby. It's just, weight that'll come off when she's a teenager and not to worry about it. They keep me active." And I remember thinking, even at 9, that nobody stood up for me, that no one
mm.
said, shut the fuck up, or she's a kid, or she loves art. Ask her about her art. Like, nobody in that room defended my body. So now I carry this, and it's still in me. It doesn't drive from the same spot anymore. But this idea that the thing that everybody is interested in or has an opinion on has to be my body. It can't be that I come into a space and anything be everything but my body. That's what I have to lead with because that's all people care about. And a particular shape of my body would give me more validation, more value as a person.
Which is so shitty. Like it
Yeah.
really does like set us up to like be fucked.
Yes. And like think about like a 9-year-old cute little tummy.
That
Like
outfit sounded
so
cute. I
cute.
don't
Right?
know.
It's so cute. It's so adorable. And the way that we used to walk with our chest out and our bellies out. And I recently
Yeah.
learned in pelvic floor physiotherapy that I suck in my stomach just unconsciously all the time, which is creating all kinds of back problems. And it was because from that moment, I learned that my belly has to be small in order for me to be beautiful and in order for it to be acceptable, that I couldn't have a body that was acceptable without a smaller, flatter belly.
That sounds like the root start of some shame shit.
Oof.
Some shame shit that said, "Hey girl." And also I'm going to bring my good cousin Guilt with me while we're here. Just put it in your backpack like Dora the Explorer. Um what has shame and guilt, because that's what I'm also hearing is like the ways that we've held on to it. Like what has that looked like for you? Like what has that felt like for you?
Yeah, I think for definitely for guilt, where there's this sense of you're not doing enough. Why can't you just get a flat belly? Why can't you just do the things that we tell people that are all lies that are going to give you the body that you think is most commercially attractive? Like, why can't I just do them? So, this sense of failure at not being able to do it. And of course, I was all wrapped up in diet culture for many decades, and had such a disordered relationship to food that I was doing all the things and that my body's
Yeah.
just not built that way. Most of our bodies aren't. And the shame piece came around feeling undeserving of things like
Mm,
love or romantic partnerships or good quality sex or pleasure in my own body through clothing or through lingerie or through movement because I didn't have this body. So my shame actually got me into a very protected place where I thought, well, I don't want to go to the beach in case someone's thinking, something about my body that my family thought when I was 9. Like they're going to confirm all of
mhm,
these ideas. So shame kept me really small.
mm. Where is shame at for your belly for you now?
Well, me and my belly are still working on getting to know each other, but I feel like there's just more space. I've unlearned a bunch of narratives, so now there's space for these new narratives. And
Yeah.
there's a curiosity, right? Like, is this bad, or did I learn that somebody thinks it's bad? And how much value am I giving to other people's approval of my literal existence? And, and I often say to myself, the jig is up. Like, I'm not going to have a flat belly. I'm 44. I'm not going
Like
to get
we're
out of
here
the
now.
wheel. Yeah, right? Like, this is belly and me. We're going to have to find a different way to find pleasure outside of the standards of other people, right? Outside of the
Yeah.
standards of capitalism, white supremacy, patriarchy, all this garbage that actually doesn't guarantee you the things that we think we're missing. It doesn't guarantee you love. I meet so many people in my coaching practice where their bellies would be considered pretty small or unnoticeable, and they have the same feeling and hatred about their body that I do as a plus size person. So we definitely see this distortion. And it almost looks unhinged when you step back and you think, wow, this was what was going to drive my happiness. It never was going to drive me to that destination.
Yeah. What do you think the direct narrative was for you that you kept hearing over and over again?
That I could not be beautiful, therefore I
Mm,
could not be lovable if my body wasn't appealing. And my appeal could not improve unless my belly was flat. So not
mm.
even just like smaller, but flat, like non-existent.
When did you start fighting back?
It took me a long time. It took me a
Yeah.
really long time. Excuse me. I think I started fighting back after my divorce. I was married for 9 years, and
Look at you. Love. Found it.
yeah, I just thought,
Partnership.
okay, now that I left this thing, I'm gonna fall in love with myself. And so I started taking burlesque. And in burlesque, the jiggle is the joy. So I
Yeah.
was jiggling parts of my body that I had no idea could be seen as appealing. And so I did go sort of from an external validation. I wanted people to celebrate my body. And I later learned, you can also step onto stage gifting people yourself, right? Instead of being there for their validation. So that was really the beginning. It was the first time I ever showed my belly in public. I didn't own crop tops. I didn't own bikinis. Now I can barely keep my clothes on.
It's true. It's true. I've seen Luna without clothes plenty of times at this
Right?
point. You brought up a word that I actually have been talking about a lot, and that's joy. And sadly, it's so hard to find. Like, what has it been like finding your joy?
Yeah, you're so right. I think joy is so hard to find, and so much of it is because of what our how our society is set up and what we're told. But a big thing for me around finding joy has been in finding playfulness. And so
Mm,
removing that kind of perfectionism that I always have to look a
yeah.
certain way or I have to be a certain way, or that, I put on a dress today and I didn't think about, does it make my body smaller or bigger? I liked the colors and it was fun to twirl around in. So shifting my experience even into more sensory experiences allowed me to find more play and more joy.
Something you mentioned, and I like typed it down as you were writing. I was literally you were talking, and I was writing something similar, and it's the ways of culturally our bodies are looked at differently. And all I wrote down was not white. And then you mentioned white supremacy. And I was like, yes, it's so embedded in us in so many ways. Like culturally, we not white. And so our experiences have been different. So what was that like for you culturally?
Yeah, culturally, definitely my family grew up with a lot of internalized racism, and so wanting to fit into white ideas of beauty was hammered into me from very young age. And these ideas were also about a kind of a sense of safety and trying to align in their minds with something that might be less harmful for them, when really it was just creating ancestral trauma over and over again. And so if we look at so many of our cultures, my family is from Guyana, and so many of our our like cultural expressions, dances, our clothing, our health practices, they center around the belly. And if
Yeah.
we look at things like intuition, we look at chakra energy, we look at so many spiritual, like earth
Trauma.
breathing trauma. Yeah, it's
Ooh,
all in the belly.
baby.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it was this liberation not only of the physical self for me, but a connection back to my gut. I couldn't feel my gut, my actual gut, not my belly gut.
Yeah, like I think people forget, and everyone's read The Body Keeps the Score. There's other books, y'all. He's a little
Mhm.
shitty, let's be honest. But the ways that we hold trauma in our body, right? Like having people point it out to you in all of these things, it's it sometimes isn't ours. Oftentimes, it's not ours, and then we hold on to it, and it manifests into, like you said, into gut issues. Like often when I'm working with folks, I'm like, "When's the last time you had a bowel movement?" And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Are you pooping? Let's talk about what happened to you. Let's talk, have a conversation." Have you also had those kind of conversations in your own work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people come in with wanting the bullet sometimes, or the bullet solution, and we have to
It's not
really
real,
go
y'all.
back. Yeah, I mean, I want it too, but
Same.
we just know that that's not usually how it
That'd
comes.
be cool.
Yeah, if anyone out there has it, send it to us. But yeah, I think people feel like their sexuality or even their pleasure goals are separate from their other emotional, physical, and spiritual wellness, but it's all together. And so we often see patterns. I mean, even in my own self, I have so many gut issues that have gotten so much better working at a holistic way
Mhm.
instead of trying to isolate this part from the rest of my body.
Yeah. Let's run it back a little bit. Let's skip back
Yeah.
a little bit. Um, the spiritual connection. I always say, "Ooh, did I sneeze? No, pretend."
Okay.
The spiritual connection to our bellies, and in other cultures, they really look at bellies as like prosperity and wealth, and you are a king with that. But here in Western society, they're like, baby, you're unlovable. We hate you. We're not making clothes for you. We're gonna say it's an extra large, but it's a too small. Like, what is happening? Like, why is where's so much tussling? We are a tussling ass country for bodies. Oh,
Seriously. Wow. There's so much goodness there. Yeah, I think I think when we look at, I mean, even just like modern day cultures around the world, like people have body diversity, people see things differently, and there's so many studies that show if you grow up in a place where a beauty is not like this Eurocentric beauty that we have in North America, that when you move to those places, your standards of beauty start to change. And so, keeping fat people out of clothing is one way that kept us really invisible up until maybe, like, I don't know, like maybe 7 years ago, we started to have
yeah,
more options for clothing. And yeah, we see a lot around even just the connection to warmth, to survival in our bellies. There are lots of places where we want to fill our bellies with heavy things so that we stay full longer. So there's a relationship to food that is also just distorted by what we've done in North America to bodies that
yeah,
have more voluminous bellies.
yeah. Something you mentioned earlier too is when I started working in trauma, I was like, I need to know everything. So every 2 years, I worked with a different population. And one of the jobs I worked in was in eating disorders,
Mm.
disordered eating. And, 99% of the individuals had some type of intense trauma, predominantly sexual trauma, attached to it. And that was like a control thing. And you mentioned, disordered eating. What was that like for you in the connection to your belly?
Ooh, yeah. So much of my disordered eating came from three big sources. So one was directly my mom, who is carrying sort of the ancestral trauma of not of being disconnected to her body, hating her body as well. So I learned kind of that in that environment. I mean, society, we know 9-year-olds are able to count calories and do these kinds of
Yeah.
nonsensical, harmful things. And then the medical system. I have so much medical trauma from not being able to be treated by being in a fat body, and the belly
Yeah.
is such a source of where we consider bad fat or good fat. So you have a fat butt, your doctor maybe is not going to tell you lose weight in your butt, but there, there's certain places where we've now associated there's so much work on this that's being, of course, busting open a lot of the medical research. And I highly recommend the Fat Doctor, who's in the UK. So I think it's the Fat Doctor UK, who
Ooh.
really looks up a lot of the research. And there's so much to be said about our critical thinking around what we learn from our medical system and big pharma. And so we're
Ugh.
seeing, I saw so much of that in my body. I could not for the life of me get anything until I went and had more of a holistic team from naturopathy and other kinds of alternative medicine. But nobody would take me seriously or give me any other solution to my problem, whether it
Until
was
you
my
lost weight.
eyesight, until I lost weight. Yeah. And it's
Uh,
just wild having to be your own advocate, to be allowed to exist in this body. I mean, fat people and fatness is not a protected category under human
no.
rights or discrimination, right? So pretty much doctors can do what they want, insurance companies can do what they want. So we see a lot of people with bodies that are probably pretty normal and average, but being demonized and told that they're not healthy just based on the size.
We're also in such a time of social media that, I when I first got on the socials back in the day, we was in them AOL chat rooms lying to people and
Yeah,
shit. What was your screen name?
I saw you there. I don't even remember, but I was big into Yahoo chat. I wanted to be where the
Oh, I
pervs
was
live.
I was at Yahoo. I was in AIM. Let me tell you, my first name was Sab Teen W because Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh my god, I love it.
But then it was foreshadowing around sophomore year when my sophomore or junior, I think it was sophomore, when my screen name became Loves to Bite I Do. I said, what was happening, Jiminica? What was going on back then? What loves
You
to
were
bite I
busy
do?
being awesome. That's what was
But
going on.
also, like, I was just reading books and shit. Like, I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't fornicate. I didn't have boyfriends. I
Yeah,
just watching wrestling. Like, I
something in
don't
you
know.
knew.
Look at me now. Look at
Right?
me now. Um, you are so vulnerable on the intranet.
Hmm.
How has that impacted you? Because I know people love to be behind a screen and just tick, 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 tick. all their goddamn thoughts and feelings that no one fucking asked for. How do you deal?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So actually the body work stuff, I went on to teach sex ed stuff, and then people would message me and say, "Oh my God, you're wearing a dress that shows your belly," or "I feel so confident because I like that you have a body like mine." And I thought, damn, people care about what I wear and what I look like. Okay, I thought I was trying to go away from this, but I saw it as an opportunity to be like, yeah, if I'm doing it, you can do it. Like, this is an internal deconstruction. The world is still going to reinforce this every single day you step outside. And so I take from Sonia Renee Taylor, The Body is Not an Apology. And I remember seeing her speak once, and she said, the world can beat you up, the world can do whatever, but you don't have to go home and take that same bat and keep doing the same thing to yourself. So
Mm,
having these practices, having these moments like my little dance parties or by myself, right? Or like making sure that I massage my belly in the shower and that I'm touching it because it became such a numb part of me that I didn't want to touch it, I don't want to see it. And that
mm,
really helped, that opening. It like gave me an opportunity that I didn't see before. I didn't know that was even possible. And so when I started to tell this to people, it was great. I had the people that were supporting me, and then there are the people that are stuck in their own stuff and are lashing out. And I
sure.
don't get a ton of that because my comments are limited, but I get a lot of DMs, and usually they're actually from cis men who have something to say about my body.
Surprised.
Surprisingly,
So surprising.
surprisingly. So what I recommend and what I do in practice is I don't really care if you think I'm beautiful or if you think I'm ugly. Like there's a neutrality around other people's opinion now for me.
Mm.
And I don't get into internet arguments. I don't argue, well, for important things, yes, but not for some cis man's opinion about my body. That's just
I
gross.
always say I don't argue for free and I don't play with peasants.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm up here in Goddess Land, and you're doing what?
I just wow, look at you down there, peasant. My business partner's new word is plebeian. We've been
Plebeian. I love that.
plebeian. You gotta say it just royal. Just,
Plebeian.
you
Okay.
plebe. See, it felt good.
It did. It felt better. Yeah.
You know, you know what I just noticed in my own body when you were talking about that. I started to feel like emotional.
Mm,
And I was like, "Oh my god, am I crying?" I
mm,
was like, "Oh my god, my eyes are watering up," and thinking about the ways that I've existed in this body.
mm,
And in my 20s, every diet, every pill I could have found, I touched it. Every let me try and do this thing. And this whole time I was chasing this idea of a fat body. And I look back and I was like, bitch, you had double D titties and you were 130 pounds. Where was it? Where was it? I wish I was as fat as I thought I was. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we get this narrative. And also, something you brought up that, like, a word that pinged me was mirrors.
mm,
I have been, and still somewhat, and still, it's a practice, baby, very mirror avoidant. I've gotten a lot better where I will look in the mirror and like say things and write things out, not on my mirror because I don't feel like cleaning, but like put it in a text or something to myself. What has that been like for yourself? Like you mentioned, unlearning and then actually seeing yourself. That's some shit.
It is. It's wild. And if people think that it's a smooth jump from like self hatred to, okay, I don't hate myself, it's not. And I remember I started this practice of when I started learning burlesque. I love to dance around. I've been doing it ever since, I was living at home with my parents. And it's fun for me to have these little solo dance parties, especially to sexy music. And so I
Mhm.
started taking videos of myself while I was dancing in front of the mirror. And it took me until video number 12 for me to not watch that video and burst into tears. Because I was like,
Oh,
this is what you
yeah.
look like. Like you were having fun dancing, but then you look like this. And so I also had to accept that mirror, are the way that we've learned about bodies, it's distorted my gaze. And so it's going to take time to reclaim that gaze and not see myself through this lens of not good enough, or that's the body that people like, or this is the body people desire. And to when I got to video number 12, I was like, she's having fun. Like she has moves, look at that. I could appreciate something about the
Mm,
experience and the joy in it. And I think that's what people see when I'm putting my body out there, is not like, oh, she has this or that. It's that or despite this or that, she's doing this.
Mhm.
It's that there's a joy coming from it.
Back to that go with that word, joy. Oh, it's so needed in just like existence. Within your belly, what have you found? Ooh, let's do that again,
Ooh.
Chris. Cut that out. She's stumbling. Within your body, what about your belly specifically has been so impactful for you? And how has it really changed your work? Like for me, I understand that like most traumas affect the way that we exist. And that's literally about the why the work I do. Like, how has it affected you?
So I found my rage this year.
Ooh, you have.
I
I've been watching. I love Rage.
Thank
It's
you.
healthy.
It
It's healthy.
is. It's
Yeah.
healthy. And just because like patriarchy has used it for violence doesn't mean that we would use it that way, right? Like
Sure.
there's so many aspects of rage that we're told, especially for me as someone who grew up as a woman, there is so much about like suppressing rage. And my belly was where I found that fire because I actually started to listen to things that were irritating or annoying about experiences that I had swallowed and just wanted to be kind of managing, other people's discomfort. But when I started listening to my own discomfort, I was like, wait a minute, I'm mad. you know? So there was all this new knowledge that came from my belly that I just needed to put a match to the fire, right? Like it was there, it's been existing, it's been trying to talk to me, probably through autoimmune disease, but it also is available to me. I mean, I did a lot of therapy also to be able to access that. I could not even think I would do visualizations and I couldn't get into my belly. It was just a dense, I remember the first one was a dense boulder and I didn't know what was there. It just felt inaccessible to me. So taking time to do things that were emotionally supportive and
Mm,
and also physically exploratory were really helpful for me.
mm. We can't leave this space without talking about sex. Mhm.
Ooh, yes.
And something I know that you're a fan of, kink.
Ooh, yes. Ooh, yes.
How did you find kink? But also like what has sex been like for you as the narrative told you you weren't sexy? You weren't desirable. Like how did you really get into that?
Yeah, it is so hard. I think that once that song is written for us, it's hard to take it out of the rotation, but we can play it less, right? We can find other things to have our movement go towards. So I had no problem being naked once I was already with somebody because I'm like, well,
You're here.
we're here. You can touch it, you
Yeah.
can see it. But I definitely wasn't embracing of it. So there were certain positions that I didn't want to be in where I thought my belly was hanging or that they could see it more. So it made my sexual experiences smaller because I
Yeah.
wasn't as expansive. And I think now I can see the power of that area, that whole like hip swirling, grinding that I was missing out on because I didn't want to draw attention to my belly, the jiggle or having someone touch it, it has been really incredible for my sexual confidence, but also for the physical experience of pleasure. There's more blood flow, there's more inhibition. But I found kink through reading my mom's like romance novels. And it was always like some woman being thrown on a bed and then a dude like doing something and she would orgasm. So I was like, wow, it's that easy? Your blouse just has to like pop
No,
open,
tis not. Wish.
so I was so interested in submission. I was like, wow, like that's so hot that someone knows exactly what you want and wants to give it to you. Then I
Yeah.
discovered femdoming. And so I'm a big old switch because I'm greedy, but femdoming actually helped me take up more space in my body because I was
Ooh.
like a goddess would be not standing here trying to make her body smaller. So that pivot into a role actually integrated parts for me and allowed me to feel that outside of King too.
That's so funny that you're like, just throw it on. That's how I learned through them books. And I was like, oh,
Right?
I
They're like
I
dogmas.
learned I learned because I was watching Real Sex back in the day and Taxi Cab Confessions. Baby, they need to bring that
Oh,
back.
yeah.
That was my shit. Imagine the stories now. Woo! They probably wouldn't be able to show them, honestly. It'd probably be like a random. Why is Dirty Lola in this goddamn car? Um,
Yeah, totally. But they're like, she was
Ah,
wearing a dress. What happened?
that's crazy. You're like, that's went left so quick. Um, who were your original belly teachers?
Ooh, ooh. Belly dancers, actually. Because when I
Okay.
saw belly dancers, I thought, what are you doing with your waist? Like, how is that even
Yeah, that's
possible?
wild.
Yeah. So I would take belly dancing classes at like rec centers, near my high school or whatever, or my university, and it was also that feeling of that power from your center. So there was things about balance and things about control, and because I just wanted that area to not exist, to see it in practice in music, and then I went on to learn the drums that go along with belly dancing because I wanted that percussive beat that also beats from like your belly to your heart, right? So there were these really musical and body artistic things that really started that journey for me.
Mm. I love that. You know, I've been thinking about belly dancing more and more because
Ooh,
I know that you have enjoyed it. I know Goddess Cecilia enjoys it. And I'm like,
yes,
do I wanna, do I want my belly to be? Because it looks so beautiful and
yeah,
it's such a story that's told that I think people don't realize and overlook.
yes,
What an art. I
yes,
think it's truly an art.
agreed.
Um, what does community look like for you?
Mm. I think community is one of the critical things that's helped me change my relationship to my body. Because seeing, the Sonia Renee Taylor, seeing the Body Posy Pandas, like seeing people put themselves out there and really being so vulnerable with not only their bodies and their image, but their reflections about what this journey is. Like, I don't feel like this about my body every day. I could not like my
Sure.
belly on Wednesday and then like it again by Saturday. It's just that I know how to get home now faster to this place of peace than I did before. And so the people that were doing this in allowing us to see their journey, allowing us to know that they exist at the same time as the haters in my DM, it just makes me see. Okay, yeah, my people are out there. I just got to find my people, which is so inspiring. And I hope I'm that for people. I want to be their people too.
I mean, clearly. Have you had more folks reaching out the more you've been into these crop tops?
Yes, yes, I have. The more
Because I
my
seen you
belly
was
gets
like, "Ah,
screen time,
yeah."
I went to hedonism for the first time this
What was that?
year.
Because I was watching.
Oh my God, it was so fun. I had such a great time. And, the people were amazing. Everybody was amazing. But it was this, I also went during an event that was geared towards fitness swingers. So I am,
Okay, you
I
said
am not.
challenge.
I know, I know. And I thought I never would have gone to this even 5 years ago. I would have been like, my body doesn't belong there. And this
Yeah.
time I went and I thought, you belong. You belong in this body and you belong where you decide to take this body. So nobody's going to tell you anything. And nobody did, of course. And I had moments of comparison. I really compared myself to other people, and then I stood in my power. I'm like, I'm here to teach these wonderful humans pleasure skills that are going to improve their confidence and their life. I'm not teaching them how to hold their belly in. I'm not teaching them how to angle their body to look skinnier or whatever. I'm teaching them how to belong in their erotic experiences, which is for me the definition of sexual confidence. And so I was doing the same thing. I walked around with my belly out, and I noticed that it was only when I caught a glimpse of myself in a reflection did I have judgment. When I was walking around feeling the sun and the sand and a belly full of good food, I didn't notice it. It wasn't an important thing. So it was a good reminder again that it's that gaze that is just so distorted, and that we just continually have to remind ourselves, oh, sorry, belly, that's not. I know we learned that old bullshit, but it's not where we live from anymore.
I love that you were like, "It's bullshit." Okay, so you had fun though? If
I had a
for
great
folks that don't know about hedonism, can you
time.
just give a little and this is not a PG show, so go ahead. Just
Okay, good.
tell us
Okay.
what it is. No, we're
So
here.
Hedonism is a resort in Jamaica, and they're geared towards adult lifestyle communities. So when you go there, there's a nude side and a prude side. You can wear clothes on the prude side, but you have to be nude on the nude side. So couples go there to just enjoy a nude positive environment, or they go there to connect with other like-minded people, like other swingers or people who are looking to do kind of sexy things. So you can have sex like on the beach. There's a playroom. Yeah, it was stunning. It was beautiful.
How long did you say?
We were there for a week with this great couple who organized it called Naughty Gym, and so they just love bringing people together. So I was with other community connectors, which was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. For folks that feel like that's like something they could never do, um, what would you tell them?
You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
easy. It won't be
No.
easy, but you can do it anyways. I think that confidence and doubt can coexist. You're never going to get to a place where you feel 100% happy with your body. And even if you do, that's fleeting. We're all aging. So we are all moving
Honey,
towards.
quick, my knees right now.
I know my back. That's why I'm like,
Let me
no, but
resit better.
yeah. And so, I remember meeting this woman in a boxing class, and she was really young. She was like in her early 20s. And we were chatting, and she said to me, I really want to go to New York. I said, it's amazing. You should totally go. And she said, I'm going to wait until I lose 100 pounds
That's a
because I
lot.
don't want my
Who's time for
photos.
that? You
I
breaking up with someone?
know. I know. And I just thought,
Get
I
rid
was
of
like, I
someone?
want to save the babies. I want to like tell you, like, don't not live your life because of what you think other people think about your body. Because we usually don't even hate our body. We hate the way that we're treated by other people who don't like our
Mm,
bodies.
yeah. Yeah, because the world is so fucking loud.
Yes.
It's like I go to the gym now. I have a trainer. And when we first started, he's like, "Well, what are your goals?"
Hmm.
And I was like, honestly, a fat ass. But
Yes.
second, I was like, I really want to invest in my 60-year-old self.
Ooh.
Like I was like, I come from a family of cancer and diabetes and high blood pressure, which is, for the blacks, the sugars,
Yes.
and all of this. And I was like, I don't want to invest in that. I want to divest from that. And he was like, this is amazing. He's like, absolutely. Like, let's figure this out. And like, I still go to the gym and I'm like, when does this become fun? When do I start liking this shit? And then I start to get in my head. I don't know if you experience this too. I start to get in my head, and then I like look around. I'm like, well, I don't want anyone to look at me because I'm gonna fuck this. Blah, blah. And then I'm like, we're all just trying to get through this goddamn workout. Like no one's even looking at me. Mind it, look, bitch, do the squat and shut up. Like,
Yes. Do the squat and shut up. That's what I have to tell myself too. Yeah, but I think I can really relate to that experience of thinking people are watching when they're not. And even if they are, it's so fleeting. I'll walk outside in an outfit that I think is, kind of cheeky for my body or that feels risky for my body. And I'll notice people notice, and I just keep reminding myself, like, who cares what they think? Like, you love your body. You're trying to love your body. You're just trying to have a great day. Like, just remind yourself to like have a great day, have a great trip, have a great time at the gym, even though you hate it. But
oh,
this pull to be acceptable and appropriate for other people is totally white supremacy, right? It's totally patriarchy. It's totally capitalism to keep us feeling not good enough.
yeah. If there were some babies listening and they were like, I came, what you gonna give me a tip, a trick, something, bitch? I'm out here struggling. Uh, what would you say to them? What would you offer them?
Yes, I have two things. One, you got to find your people. If everyone around you is talking about diets all the time, they're always like criticizing or like criticizing their own bodies, stay friends with them. But we want to be able to divest from that kind of chatter, that kind of noise, like, because those are no longer going to be our restraints, right? We're going to find other ways to have liberation. And then I think the second thing is really having compassion for yourself. Like, this stuff is not easy. It's not easy to live in a body that you're not happy in, and most people aren't, but particularly a fat body where we're not protected
Mm,
by categories of discrimination. And you can do that by showing yourself care. And so that care means that maybe you move for fun. Maybe you wear your favorite color, even if it's in, I used to wear like 6 layers over everything to try and give this illusion that I don't have a shape, right? And so who
Hot.
cares? Like
You
start
sound hot.
small. Yes, I was sweating profusely all the time. Wear your favorite nail polish. I don't know, buy your favorite color of pillowcase. Like something that says, I deserve to make choices that align with my joy,
Mm,
and that's nobody
mhm,
else's business. So
mm,
small things, babies.
yeah. I think we try to do too much. Like
Mm,
when you throw everything at it, it's also like in trauma work, they're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I'm like, well, what's gonna work if you're
yes,
doing 6 things at a time
right.
and like overloading yourself? It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not real. Um, Two questions before we'll get there to the end. But mental health. How have you navigated your mental health as bodies are so on the forefront in this country, baby, in this country, and people are constantly scrolling through Instagram sometimes. It's like a minefield. How have you navigated in taking care of your own mental health?
A big thing that I saw was a game changer right away is to really be specific and intentional about my scrolling. So I unfollowed a bunch of folks or muted folks that were messages that just didn't align with me anymore, or that had sections that I really liked, but maybe I didn't like some of their other stuff. And then I proactively followed people who are reinforcing the message that I am interested in. So lots of fat influencers or fat kind of thought makers or thought leaders. And a big thing too is to do like active practice for me. It's not enough for me to just block out stuff, but doing things like I do a body joy gratitude thing every day where I just write down
Mm,
like 2 to 3 things that I'm grateful for about my body. And this body has suffered. I've been very sick for about 3 years, and now I kind of feel a little bit like I have a bit more energy, and I want to put that energy into honoring the survival of
mm.
this body, and that I still found joy in it even when I was also very very miserable in it. So that has really helped me because I thought it was kind of bullshit. I was like, whatever, gratitude, but
Gratitude journal my ass.
yeah, I know. I'm like, this is nonsense. And then the other thing that's really good for my mental health is my friends.
Mm,
So my dear friends are places where I can also open up about things that maybe are still raw, and for me that feels much more loving versus having engaging my audience in things like that. I think that's also a tool for folks, but for me, I need my besties.
mm. Yeah, we're not meant to be alone. Even
Hmm.
though sometimes you do need some quiet and get the fuck away from people, we
Yes,
are meant to be within community, and I think people forget that
yes,
because sometimes it's just hard to navigate other people's bullshit, and you're like, "I just need some silence and a break."
yeah, yeah, definitely.
How do you find your silence?
Oh my God. So my cat Bubba is the most beautiful cat in the world. So actually I never realized that I was lonely living at home until I had another live thing that makes eye contact and makes noises and that I have to do things for. So my alone time is often my cat time where I'm like
Mm,
tending to somebody, or my plants. I often love like pruning my plants or like creating clippings and having making them have babies. So things that are really about nourishing other life is a good use of
yeah,
my alone time. I also, lie on the couch and do nothing and smoke pot. So that's also
that's
alone
so
time,
nice.
you know?
I like that. I might do that today. I don't know.
Yeah, good,
I might take my braids out and lay on my sofa. Ooh,
you have to do the marking. Don't forget the marking.
hit me with a good listen, I have to do that. Damn it. I do have to do that. You're right. Just got a text message about it. So I will do that. Fine. Um, how do you balance finding joy and adulting at the same time?
I don't know. My taxes are always late. My house is messy. I actually think it's about compassion. It's really about saying, like, today I have the capacity to do this, and tomorrow is a new day. I can try again tomorrow, and I can, also ask for help and support that is affirming of kind of my own pace and the things that I need. Whereas before, I used to do what you said, like really start with this huge goal thing, like I'm gonna go to hot yoga 9 times a day and then eat nothing but this, or which was very restrictive, kind of
Yeah.
orthorexic kind of behavior. um and so now it's all about gentleness. I'm letting go of this idea that I need to suffer in order to adult. Some things are going to
Oof.
get dropped. I probably have an email from you for like 3 months ago. I don't know, what do you want me to
The
do?
suffering
You want
part,
me to
right? Like,
answer it?
yeah, I mean, they're like, yes, actually,
They're
Luna,
like,
we
yes,
do want you to
yeah,
answer it. What do you mean?
someone's in my DMs now, right now, doing that. Like,
They're like, we heard you on the podcast, so
yeah.
you've seen our email. So you're telling us you got it. That's what you're saying. That's wild.
Yes.
Um, one more question before we get to the last question of the show. Um, for myself, I know that like when I'm not doing well, like mentally, or I'm tired, um, the first thing I can do is attack myself because I can control that. How do you combat the self narrative that's like that throws back? Like you said, every day is different.
The first place that I go to when I'm struggling is body darkness. So it could be, oh, I did a presentation and it didn't go that well. Well, of course it didn't go well because you're fat. There's like this voice that just wants to take everything to that place. And
Mm.
that also tells me, there's still relationship building for that place. But I think that the thing that helps me kind of surf that is, I mean, definitely my friends, but there's something about knowing that there is this place of peace that I have cultivated, right? I know
Mhm.
that I'm safe. I know that my home is safe. I know that whatever. So it makes me feel all of the things around me that has made my world softer. And one of the problems of my trauma was that I wasn't able to receive any of that, even if it was there, right? I just
Mm.
wanted to reinforce the narrative that no, you're alone and you have to do this by yourself. And so that softness has really helped me. So sometimes that's physical things, like everything in my house that's going to cover your body is soft blankets, soft throws, soft whatever. And I make sure that my space also feels like joy. I have a big orange wall, and I have of course, my plant babies, and my room is like a little oasis, except for the thousands of sex toys.
For some, though, is
That
that
is an
not?
oasis. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Listen, I
yeah.
have dicks, so many dicks around me right now. There's drawers. I'm literally looking, I'm like, there's weed, sex toys, glasses. There's so much.
You are adulting very well, from what I can see.
We're doing great here, y'all.
I
We're
don't even
doing
know
our
where my
best.
glasses are. So you got
Oh,
one
you
up
know
on
what?
me.
I cheated because I bought those glasses stands because I have like
Oh,
20 pairs of glasses at this point. So I can look over and they're like organized, like wild colors, the different shapes, sunglasses. You can get them for like $10. You just boop, boop, and then I stand them up.
that's so much better than like having a million cases that are like empty.
Well, I also have a drawer of a million empty cases, which I should
Oh,
probably throw away.
okay.
Listen, two things can exist. Um,
True, true.
so for the last question of the show, it's truly for balance and because I'm a nosy bitch. But what is the wildest thing that someone has texted or DM'd you in the last 2 weeks? Wild is relative, everyone is different.
Okay, okay. Um, this is gonna sound tame, but this person, you know how sometimes like people come out of the woodworks in your
Yes, go back
DMs,
to the
and
woods.
yeah. So this person messaged me and was like, "Oh, hey," and had like kind of a blank account, like obviously was like a secondary sketchy account, and said, "Hey, do you remember me?"
No.
No other identifying details. And I was in my head, I'm like, I don't want to, but I'm going to engage in this. So I was like, no, I don't, I have no idea who you are. And he was like, oh, it's Mike. I was like, still have no
Girl.
idea who you are. Mike, we had sex in like whatever year. And I was like, still don't know who you are. Like,
I
it's
fucked
like,
6 mics. Which one are you?
Yeah, they were all terrible. So I don't know which one you were, you know? And I thought this is incredible. Like the entitlement and audacity to be in my
Mm.
DMs with literally no effort, no information, and wanting and expecting my attention. So I didn't carry it much further. I kind of I probably was rude and then then blocked him. I don't
It
know.
probably was rude.
Well, let's go with it. It was probably rude. Yeah. This is why I'm banned from Tinder. I'm banned. I'm double
You was
banned.
cussing people up.
Facebook and my phone number are banned
Ma'am,
forever.
how did you get banned? Was you out here? What was you doing?
I think it was because men reported me. And
Oh,
so they report if you don't
cowards.
want to come over right now. They report if like you don't like what they want you to do. They report if whatever. So and there were times where I was rude back to someone else's rudeness. So if you're gonna come in my inbox being like, "Do you want to be my whatever?" Blah blah blah, I'm gonna be like, "No, you dumb dumb." Like this is like
Yeah,
so.
respect.
Yeah, yeah.
Get
So
banned
I
then.
take it
Get
as a badge of
banned.
honor, you know. Like,
I love that for you.
thank you.
This has been fun. I think this is something that we all struggle with, like bodies and specifically bellies. Like that is where the big narrative constantly is. Bathing suit season's coming, baby.
Yes.
And those bathing suits is getting smaller and I'm confused. Uh they're getting
Yes.
smaller and bodies are not. So I don't know why it's in child sizes, but I digress. Um I'm getting older, the bathing suits are getting smaller. It's weird. I'm confused. Um, I was gonna say something wild. Anyway, let me come back. Let me come back. Um, Before you leave us, where can he, she, they, them, z, they, everybody? Where can they find you? Where can they get in your? Where can they book you? Throw some
Ooh.
coins.
Yes, yes. So my website is lunamatatas.com. It's like Hakuna Matatas, but Luna Matatas. And there you're going to find 35 different classes you can watch on demand with lifetime viewing access whenever you want.
Amazing.
You can also book me there for events, private events, or organizational events. I love teaching virtually, in person, and Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Luna Matatas.
I love that. Not on Tinder though. Don't look on Tinder.
You
Um,
would not find me there. Maybe I'm also kind of in a sketchy relationship with Bumble right now. I got a warning, so I don't know.
Luna, we're running out of. What about Field? Do y'all Field in
Field,
Canada?
yeah, Field seems to be good. Field is
Well,
like
because
okay.
it's a little looser.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
a little
Yeah.
looser. This was so good. Thank you. This felt good for my I needed this. So thank you.
Oh my God, thank
Um
you. This was pure joy. Thank you for having
this,
me.
gotta have joy. We gotta have joy in all the fuckery. And until next time, y'all.